Okay, so we are going to do 6.2, ready, set, go, number 7. And it's more on this Ferris wheel problem. You'll understand why they keep referencing this Ferris wheel later on, because it'll make so much more, it'll make a lot of sense later on. Okay, so it says, recall the following facts from the lesson done in class. The Ferris wheel has a radius of 25 feet. Check. There it is right there. The center of the Ferris wheel is 30 feet above ground. This is 30 feet. Due to safety concern, the management of the amusement park decides to slow the rotation of the Ferris wheel from 20 seconds for a full rotation to 30 seconds for a full rotation. So now it's going to take 30 seconds to go all the way around. Calculate how high a rider will now be 2 seconds after passing position A on the diagram. Okay, so the very first thing that you want to do is you want to do all kinds of weird calculations that seem like they're not going to help you. Okay, so what's one of the first things? I'm just going to write a bunch of stuff. What's one of the first things that I need to do? So this is 30 feet. Now it's 30 seconds for one full rotation. What's a calculation that you'll need to do? Very good. So someone says 30 divided by 10 is 3 seconds. So I'm going to write in units because that helps you figure out what the heck you just found. So 30 seconds divided by 10 sections or pieces of pie, whatever you want to say, gives me 3 seconds per section. Do you see how, like, I don't know, in the math world, in the math teaching world, this is called attending to precision. What you're actually doing is, because you're putting your labels out there, you now remember what the heck 3 actually means. Okay. Attending to precision just doesn't mean like using units or knowing where the decimal goes. It actually means like what I say and you understand is the same thing. So that's less about math and more about communication, if you think about it, right? So 3 seconds per section. Okay. 3 seconds per section. So that means after I pass point A, it takes me 3 seconds to get to B, another 3 to get to C, and all the way around until 30 seconds to get all the way back to A. Okay. So everybody okay with that? Okay. Then it says, calculate how high a rider will be at 2 seconds after passing position A. You'll notice the reason why they keep talking about A is because A is our 0. We'll talk about that later, but A is our reference point. It's our 0, okay? So 2 seconds after, where is he going to be? Where is he going to be? Somewhere between what and what? Where is he going to be? Somewhere between what and what? Very good. Somewhere between A and B. I'm not exactly sure. And if you had to pick, closer to who? Closer to A, closer to B? Closer to A or closer to B? Okay, very good. Yeah, he's going to be closer to B because 2 seconds is way closer to 3 seconds than it is to 0 seconds, right? So that means for me, I am going to try to calculate that. And it's not going to be exactly right. So now that I know that, I don't know, Carlos is somewhere here-ish, I'm just going to pretend he's here. Carlos. Right? So what do I do now? What's the next thing I should do? Besides figuring out where he is, what's the next thing I should probably do? What's the next thing I should do? Yeah. So my goal is to draw a triangle. I don't exactly. Oh man, why isn't Carl? Oh, there he is. So I'm going to draw this triangle in there. You guys all see him? So eventually my triangle is going to look like this, right? Where should I put your triangle? I'll go right here. So my triangle is going to look like this-ish, right? Where this is A, this is Carlos, and then this is the center. So I need some more information on this whole triangle because I don't have very much. right? So what other information do I have on this triangle besides what I have written here? Very good. I know my hypotenuse is 25 feet. That's good. Anything else? I know that this is a 90-degree angle. Very good. Now it's 30. Is 36 go in here? Does 36 go in here? Everyone says no. Very good. It is 36 per section. Therefore what? It is 36 per section. Therefore what? It has to do with this 3 right here. Yeah. So someone put something in the chat. They put 36 divided by 3. Why would you do that? Okay, so here's what you need to do as a mathematician, as a human, as a thinker, right? Your job is to consider what someone else is saying and see if that makes sense with what you're thinking. If you have no thoughts towards it, like I have no clue, then your job is to be like, I see 36, it's right here. I see the 3 seconds per section, but why would you divide? Why would you divide? Yeah. So if you can think about this as a number line, it's not a number line, it's a clock, right? It takes your little hand 3 seconds to go from A to B. So because it's traveling at the same rate, right, you could then assume that if I cut it up into 3 sections, each section is going to take 1 section to do it. Now, 1 section, not the piece of pie that you see. Imagine this 1 piece of pie, I'm cutting it into thirds because more people came. Does that make sense? So I'm constantly cutting this circle up into smaller and smaller pieces because that's going to help me. So if I blew this up right here, right, it would look something like this. Something like this, right? I don't know. It's going to appear at some point. And then this is 0. This is 3. This is Carlos at 2. Right? Oh, man. You're not going to sync. Sync for me. All right. It's right here. There it is. Okay. So there's Carlos at 2 seconds. You can imagine right here, this is 1 second, right? So can you imagine yourself cutting that triangle or cutting that angle up into thirds, right? So then that's why the person said 36 degrees divided into 3 seconds gives me, what is that? 12 degrees per second. So 12 degrees per second, right? So if I go like this, right? So imagine this piece of pie being cut into thirds. So each angle is now going to be 12 degrees. Does that make sense? So that helps me how? That helps me how? How does that help me? Oh, so now I can find out this degree in here. Good. Don't say it in the chat. Figure this out. Be wrong. Who cares? Like, be wrong. Be wrong so you could be right during class. During the test. That's what I actually meant to say. All right, you guys done? I know you said it. It's okay. Yeah, very good. Very good. So someone said, hey, Miss Johnson, I know what the degree is now for that triangle. Very good. Go ahead and draw that into your triangle. I got 1, 2, 3 people on it already. 1, 2, 3 people. What about the rest of you? Do you have it? Any ideas? No ideas? Think about it. If you're waiting for it to feel comfortable, it's not going to. Learning is uncomfortable. Whoever told you that learning is comfortable, they lied to you. I know that's not very nice, but it's true. Tell me one thing, like when you burned your little cute finger on the hot stove, was that comfortable? Heck no. Your little finger got a cute little blister. I didn't even realize blisters came in that size. They do. You guys don't remember learning how to walk. Ask your parents. You guys were frustrated. Boop. Frustrated. Let me see. All right. All right. So you should have gotten that this was 24. Where's 24 coming from? Where does 24 degrees come from? Very good. I got someone who just said, because 12 times 2 is 24. Someone just said 36 minus 12. I like that too. And 2 sections of 12 is that. Very, very good. Any questions for these people that say this? Any questions? Okay. So this is 24 degrees. So now you have enough information to find it. You're done, right? That's all you need to in order to find it, because the rest of this is you now being done. I need to find this height here. Okay. So I just graded 6.1's flip grid, your exit ticket. A lot of you got it right. A lot of you just forgot to add the 30. That's where you messed up. So don't forget to do that. So I'm going to give you a couple seconds to do this, and then we will move on. So for those of you who get it, keep going. You ignore me. I'm going to talk to the people who don't get it. People who don't get it, it's okay if you don't get it right now. But look, what is the next thing I am going to do? So your brain should go like this. I have a right triangle. Ooh, that means I could either use blank or blank. So the answers to that question are either the Pythagorean theorem, which you can't, right? There's not enough information for you to figure out the Pythagorean theorem. And the other thing is trig. Oh, I could use trig. Then you figure out, which one will I use? Which one gives me this side? And you'd be like, oh, it's got to be blank because that's the only one that has the hypotenuse and this side. What's this side called according to this angle? What is this side called in reference to this angle? So again, what for those of you who are not answering every single question that I'm asking, this is why you're struggling. Answer every single question. I promise you won't ever have to study for a test. People who get A's in this class, do you ever have to study for my tests? You can just put it in the chat. I have a feeling that most of you who get A's on my test don't study for my... Yeah, this is called the opposite side. So which one of them, SOHCAHTOA, which one of them sine, cosine, or tangent, which one gives me the opposite and the hypotenuse? So your brain should be like, oh, not as in, oh, I get it, as in OH, opposite over hypotenuse. And that's so. So that's sine of 24 degrees equals to H over 25 feet. And then you would solve H equals 25. Pop him all the way out in front because that's where he belongs. Oops, not 25, 24. And then you go over to your friendly calculator. I am actually going to add this plus 30 right now. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go 25 sine 24 plus 30 feet equals to, and then I'm going to bring my calculator over because I don't want to forget that. I don't want to forget that 30 feet. Ms. Johnson, don't forget to hit the button. What button are you talking about? What button am I trying to remind you of? And then I'm going to put 30 in the front. Which one? Yeah, degrees. Don't forget degrees, Ms. Johnson. Very, very good. Yeah, because this answer is wrong, right? And if you got this answer, your brain should say that makes 0 sense. How is Carlos up here above and it's below the 30 feet? That doesn't make sense. So your brain shouldn't just accept this calculator. Oh, this calculator is right. My students would always say, Miss Johnson, but calculators are smart. And I said, no, they're not. Calculators are only smart as the person using them. So my students would be like, dude, Miss Johnson, calculators are dumb. And I'd be like, careful, careful. 1 7 feet. So there's that phrase. I don't know. Maybe you guys are too young. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. So I say to my students, calculators aren't dumb. Some of you got that. I appreciate that. All right, here we go. So there's your example. Things that you had to do. What was hard about this example? Drawing the triangle? Probably not. Labeling the triangle? I think so. I think labeling the triangle was going to be hard. So you knew this H part, you knew this 25 part, but 24 degrees is not anywhere found in your problem. So things that you had to know how to do is you had to know, number one, they gave you 36, right? But if you couldn't find 36, you go 360 degrees divided by 10 sections is 36 degrees per section. And then they told you that it was 30 seconds for a full rotation. That means it's 3 seconds per rotation per section. So then they decided, oh, let's divide 36 degrees divided by 3 seconds. That's 12 degrees per second, right? So he's traveling 12 degrees per second. How far is he after 2 seconds? Well, that's 2 of these. That's 24. That's why this is 24. So once you have your triangle drawn, I'm going to just say that you know what to do. It's getting your triangle drawn is the hardest part. So is it labeling it? Yeah, that's probably going to be your toughest part. Once you're here, once you have SOHCAHTOA down, I think you guys all know how to do this. So is opposite over hypotenuse. Hypotenuse equals 25 feet, sine 24. Plug this into your calculator, you're done. So the part for me that people get really, really lost in is that they don't know what they're finding when they're doing all this like calculation here. So that's why I'm going to push you. Please make sure that you label things. If you label things, it makes it a lot better because then you don't know what 3 is. If I didn't label seconds per section, you might have been lost. So again, watch this video again if you need to and figure out which part you didn't like and focus on that part. Okay. All of this shouldn't be a complete, like, what are you talking about? Right? There should be parts of this that like, oh, that makes sense. So once it's like, oh, that makes sense, move on to the next part. So here, why did we divide by 10? Because we knew that there's 30 seconds to go around the whole entire thing, right? So then I wanted to know how many seconds it took to finish one section for Carlos to go from A to B. So that gave me 3. There's other ways that you could have figured out 24 degrees. Like you could have said, since there's 360 degrees in the whole circle, and it takes me 30 seconds, I could have just divided, here's an alternative way. I could have divided 360 degrees divided by 30 seconds, because then I would have gotten 12 degrees per second. Does that look familiar? Yeah, it's right here. Right? And once you knew it was 12 degrees per second, I want to travel for 2 seconds. That would have been 24 degrees, right? So here is an alternative way for you to do these 2 things together. But if you think about it, these 2 things are the same thing as this. Good questions. All right. Again, listening to this on the very first time, probably not completely understandable if this is like, if you're barely getting this right now. So like, hey, look, when I first learned how to, I don't know, pick something that I learned how to make on YouTube. What did I learn how to make on YouTube? Sourdough bread. The very first time that I learned how to cook sourdough bread, I did not watch the video once. I probably watched it 3 times. And like the last time I like paused it, did it, then unpaused it, then paused it, then did it, then rewinded it, kind of thing. So assume the same thing here.